all night. We want to share some information, let you know a little bit about us, about next steps, and answer questions you may have. So we will save questions for the end, but we do have a chat, so feel free to chat us at any time. But this is really a little more about get to know us, get to know the school, and how to access CAN. So Ellen, can you start your sharing?
Yes, I can.
Can everybody hear me? I should have asked that too. Thumbs up on hearing. Awesome. Okay. Well, welcome. This is our first panel. We are thrilled to be here. In the spring, we did this when we were, after we had accepted our students. We did so many virtual panels because we couldn't have anybody in our building. So we are used to doing that, but we are people, and we really miss the interactions of in-person, getting to know families and students. So with that, this is how this year is going to work. I'm going to introduce our team. We're going to go through the admissions process and leave time for questions. My name is Wendy Falchuk. I'm the Assistant Head of School for Enrollment Management and Student Success here at GAN. So I obviously work with my amazing admissions team, but I also work a lot with students once they're in the building. I work with the athletics department, the health department, the dean's office, college counseling, because we really look at GAN as a four-year experience, and we want to make sure that experience is great before you even get in the door and then all the way through till graduation and beyond. Next, I want to introduce Emily Gunkalvas. She is our Associate Director of Admissions. She's waving at everybody. She is amazing. She has been in GAN a long time. She is a font of a wealth of knowledge and information. She has a lot of great knowledge and history about our school and is really excited to share that with you. Gina Carballo. Where's Gina? I don't see you. Has also been in GAN for a really long time. Gina is amazing sharing about our school as well. We love school and we love to share about it and talk about it. Ellen Seward is new this year, actually last year. She's really a critical part of our team though, because she schedules all of our initial tours and interviews. So if you have questions starting out, please feel free to reach out to Ellen. And with that, Ellen, I'm tossing it to you.
Thanks, Wendy. So like Wendy said, my name is Ellen. I'm the admissions assistant, and I'm most likely your first point of contact for when you begin your application to GAN. So whether or not you apply through our website and fill out an inquiry form, or you email us at our email, which is, what is it? GAN Academy Admissions. We'll show it to you in a few minutes. But I will help you schedule your tours. As you can see here, these are our tour slots. I will tell you right now, Fridays are booked right through until December 11th. They're a very popular day, but we still have plenty of time Monday and Thursday mornings in November, and I'm happy to work with you to find time that works for your family. And then after we schedule your tour, I can help you get started with your application by sending you your login credentials. So I'll leave this up for just a second if anybody wants to take a picture or write down any of the times. Cool. Whoop. Let's go back.
We also will continue to share this information out. So don't worry if you're not writing it down. We will continue to reach out and share this information.
Yes. Great.
Thanks, Ellen. I'm going to turn it over to Gina, and Gina's going to share a little bit more about the admissions process.
Great. Hi, everyone. I hope you can see my screen, but I wanted to give you a little bit of insight into what the GAN admissions portal looks like. If you've had the opportunity to email with Ellen and you have your login credentials, it's very likely that you've already logged into our website and this will look familiar to you. But if you haven't done that yet, you'll get a little bit of a sneak peek of that tonight. So when you log in, this is what you will see when you first enter the admissions portal. You're going to see an admissions progress checklist. And on that checklist has all of the different milestone steps that you need to complete in order to have a completed application to GAN. And one of the most important things is submitting your application. So the way that you access that is just clicking the button next to Submit Application. And this is a demo, so don't mind that that says old. And you'll see that there's different parts of the application that both you and your student will complete. So there is a student questionnaire as well as a parent portion of the application. Once you've completed all of that info, you're going to electronically sign And then we do ask that you pay through the application portal. So there is an application fee. Once all of that has been submitted, you can click submit, and you will see that you have a green check mark next to submit application. Next on the checklist are 3 forms of recommendations that you have to provide. 2 are academic and 1 is a personal recommendation. The way that you send these, it's very simple. You just click the start button. This window is going to pop up and you're going to add your recommender's name as well as their email. And then you just hit send request. You're welcome to send them a note if you want to, but you certainly don't have to. Once you've sent the request, you'll see that it's been requested and you actually don't have to do anything further. The recommender will get their form, they'll fill it out, and they'll send it back directly to us. Next is the transcript release form. That form is just a form that you want to download. It's just a form for parents only. You're going to sign it, and that's going to give us access to your child's transcripts, as well as attendance records, disciplinary, everything that comes along with that. And I'm just going to bounce back up to the application. The last thing that you're going to want to provide is the SSAT character skills snapshot, which we're going to talk about momentarily. And then for families that are interested in utilizing the Learning Center, this is where you would upload any neuropsych testing or IEP that you might have. And once all of that's done, you have your completed application, and you'll be able to monitor your progress as you go. Okay, great. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the character skills snapshot, and I'll try to go through this as quickly as I can, and then we'll save some time to talk about it at the end as well. So this year, or I should say in previous years, our focus on making admissions decisions has increasingly been on the full application. So really looking at the whole child, and it's been the SSAT testing has been minimal for us when we're looking at making decisions. So beginning this year, actually, we are not going to require the SSAT exam in order for you to have a completed application. However, we will be requiring a separate online assessment through SSAT, which is called the Character Skills Snapshot. And I want to be very clear that this is not a test. It's just an assessment, and it is not intended to be used to determine if a child should or should not be admitted to GAN. Instead, it's going to be taken alongside with your completed application and all the other requirements that we just went over to help us better understand specific programs at GAN that might be a good fit for your student. At GAN, we believe that character skills will be an important factor in your student's success. Not just in our school, but also later in work and in life. So one of our primary goals, again, is to help foster these skills in all of our students. And our hope is that this assessment will help us to meet each new student where they currently are when it comes to these skills. So what does the skills snapshot actually measure? So it's going to be looking at specific skills that kind of fall under 3 categories. The first is intellectual. So these are skills that are related to learning new things or understanding a variety of perspectives. And you can see those listed there. The next is intrapersonal skills. And so those are skills that are related to understanding oneself, their emotions, their strengths, weaknesses. And then lastly, interpersonal. And so these are skills that help us understand how we interact with the world around us. And the way that the test determines this is it's going to ask 2 types of questions, and they're situational questions and then ranked choice. And we can talk a little bit about this later. So what do the results mean? Very simply, the snapshot just measures a student's preferences, their attitudes, their beliefs about their own character. The skills do not measure how a student behaves, but rather their perception of their own skills. And there are no right or wrong answers. Also, I want to mention that the character snapshot is not a personality test. It's simply measuring the skills listed above, which we all know can change over time. The results of this snapshot is really just about this particular moment in time for your students. And the responses are the same for every student. The questions that they're going to answer, they'll give their responses, and they're really just being measured against the same grade groups that are also taking this test. So it's only for this year, for this moment in time, and it actually can only be taken once every academic year. And then finally, I just want to state that a student's snapshot results are not automatically shared with schools. So families can decide if they wish to share them or not. And so this year we're asking that you please share these results with us. I'm going to go back to or if we can go to the next slide.
Sorry, Gina, we had a little technical glitch, so we weren't actually on the correct slide. So if you want to just go back for 1 second, Ellen, just so people can see what Gina was talking about. And again, we're going to have a lot of opportunities to share this.
Sure.
But these are the character skills that Gina was talking about. Oh,
great. Okay, yes, perfect. Yep, so the intellectual and intrapersonal and interpersonal, perfect. This slide also does give some information about how the assessment is administered, so I do want to go through this very quickly. It is an online assessment, so you're going to go to ssat.org to create your account in order to access this assessment. And it can be taken at home, it can be taken anytime. And on average, it only takes about 20 to 30 minutes to complete. Once it's started, it is important to complete the snapshot in one sitting. And then I had mentioned earlier that there are 2 types of questions. So there's situational judgment scenarios, and then there's ranked choice. And if we want to jump to the next slide, thank you, Ellen. How do families take the snapshot? So ssat.org, you're going to go there. It's all through their website. You're going to register to take the skill snapshot. It's right on the home page, so you can't miss it once you have an account. For families who are registered to take the SSAT, the snapshot is actually included with that. But if you're not taking the SSAT, then you have to pay for it separately. So that information is there. And then once a student is registered for the SSAT, or the parent has purchased the snapshot on their behalf, the parents actually give consent in order for your child to take this assessment. So parents, you'll just want to log in and do that for your student. And then to take the snapshot, the student will just log into their account. They'll agree to an integrity statement, and then they'll go ahead and take it. And it, again, takes about 20 or 30 minutes to complete. And that's my long-winded overview to the snapshot, and happy to answer some questions about it in the Q&A portion.
Thank you, Gina. All right, Emily, let's talk about the virtual tour.
Fabulous. Hi, everyone. Fortunately, this year, due to the pandemic, we are not able to welcome visitors into our building. However, in place of in-person tours this year, we have created an opportunity for all of our prospective families to have virtual visits. So the virtual visits, as Ellen spoke of this morning, are being scheduled right now. Sorry, Ellen didn't speak of that this morning. Ellen spoke of that earlier 20 minutes ago. When you and your family book your virtual visit, it will consist of a personalized guided tour of our school. So you'll have a chance to click through with a guide to show you all our beautiful facilities, all of our spaces, and learn a little more about all of the amazing programs we have to offer. In addition to the virtual tour, you'll have a chance to get to know us a little more. We'll do a student interview, and then we'll do a parent interview. So this really gives us a chance to get to know parents and students individually, and gives each of you guys a chance to sort of ask your questions, and allows us to get to know you. And that's it. You will be all finished. After you complete this step, you will see the green check next to your tour and interview on your checklist in the admissions portal. And we can't wait to see you online.
Great.
So once you've completed your virtual tour, like I said, you'll get that green check mark. And as you navigate the next couple of months, You can work towards submitting all of the pieces of your application. As Gina mentioned, you can monitor that on your checklist through our admissions portal. All of our applications are due on January 15th. That includes the character snapshots. That includes all of our third-party documents, including recommendation forms and any transcripts that need to be to us. So all of those will be submitted through our admissions portal by January 15th. If you are interested in applying for some kind of affordability program or tuition assistance, which we have a variety of different options for all different types of families, you can do that through a separate application. The deadline for that is February 16th. Between January 15th and March 10th, our admissions decision committee will meet, review all of the applications, and make all of their final decisions by March 10th, which is when our admissions decisions will be sent out. And then families have 1 month until April 12th to decide whether or not they would like to enroll and become part of our wonderful community. Sounds like many of you were at our open house this past Sunday, which gave you a little slice of what GAN has to offer, but there's so much more. So here are 4 panels that are coming up over the next couple of weeks. These are the 4 that we have on the books. Please check back, we'll be in touch. There will be many more opportunities to learn about all of the things that we have to offer in addition to affordability programs, transportation, other questions like that, and more opportunities just to get to know the team.
Thank you, everybody. And this is how you find us. You can email us, you can call our main number, and you will be connected to us. We are all on email a lot, so feel free to reach out. If you don't hear back from us, try again, but you should. We're pretty responsive. And I wanna make sure that we have some time for question and answer for sure, because we really are here to just help answer your questions. One important note on our Jewish life and learning panel that's coming up. Ellen, can you actually get rid of the your slide now? Thank you. I'd like to be able to see everybody. We could just go back to gallery. Thank you. Hi, everybody. An important part of life at GAN is about pluralistic Judaism. So we have many opportunities for families coming from different observances to be able to learn more about GAN. So we will have a panel specifically for new to Jewish day school. We'll have a panel for observant students at GAN. So I just want to highlight that because it's important, and we do get that question a lot. So with that, we've all done a lot of talking. We really believe in interaction. If you're comfortable turning your camera on, we would love to see you. And we would love to open the floor to questions. Can I see, just with a show of hands, how many people actually scheduled their tour and interviews already? I see a good number. Good.
There was one question in the chat that I can just, I'll answer. I did answer in the chat, but all of the information that we are presenting today will be available. We'll send in follow-up emails. We will be posting everything online. You can check out our landing page that we are going to continue to build out. Again, we are so sad that we can't welcome you into our building and onto our campus this year. So we are going to do everything we can to bring GAN to you and have you come into our amazing community virtually. So more information will definitely be available online and through additional communications.
Thank you. We have a question about class size. Oh, and then Leah, I see a hand up over there. Our 9th grade class this year is 75 students. We do have a waiting list, and part of that was because of COVID. We, have a capacity of how many students we can have in a classroom. We are very proud of the fact that we are in our 9th week of in-person learning, and we are committed to continuing that even if the situation continues next year. So some of that is really going to depend on what happens in the next 12 months or so. Leah.
I have a couple questions. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. My first question is, do you know what your admission rate is, like the chance of getting in on average?
Does my team want to answer that? Do you want me to answer that?
I mean, I can jump in historically. We have not really calculated that number, to be totally honest. There's an ebb and a flow of admission cycles. What we do know is that we have over 75% matriculation rate. So of the kids who are admitted, a majority of them accept our offers. But the acceptance rate is a little bit more nuanced and complex.
Okay.
I will also say that while we are an independent school, we are also a community Jewish day school, and we are really committed to providing a Jewish education to as many students, children, families as possible. We're really proud of our learning center. We're increasingly able to take diverse learners. We're also really proud of the fact that we offer many high-level courses. We have a number of AP courses. We have students that are taking college-level courses. So we really look at our mission and our core values when we're looking at and accepting students.
And we also have opportunities for students who, need accelerated material. Like we have ninth graders who are taking, advanced math classes, or, so there's really opportunities for all different types of learners.
No, I'm sure there are. We just shepherded our child through a college application, and some of them are like 2% admission, 6% admission. And if it was sort of in that range, I would want to maybe know.
We are not in that range.
Okay.
And we are intentionally not in that range.
Okay. Thank you. No, that was the question. Yeah, it wasn't on the other end. No, don't worry.
Yeah.
I will also say that I have a child in college, and this is a very different process than that.
Okay.
That I found that to be a very challenging process. We really want to try to make this a warm and welcoming process, and we partner with you. We're going through this together. So I hope nobody compares our admissions process to any college process.
Okay, no, thank you.
Yeah. We're looking to bring people in. It's some schools have sort of like or institutions have a exclusionary approach, but we really look to bring as many families into our community as we can, and that we'll be successful.
Terrific. Okay, thank you. My next question was, so we already signed up for the SSAT because it was listed on the application. So I understand it includes the character skills snapshot. Do they both have to be taken in the same sitting, the snapshot and the SSAT?
No, they do not.
Question.
Okay. And then my next question was, you mentioned for Learning Center that you'd want to see documentation, testing, and so on. Would a 504 plan count as that?
Yes, it would.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then I think that might be all of my questions. I don't need to hog the floor. Thank you.
No, questions are welcome. The other thing I will say is we do have many students that are taking the SSAT. That is totally fine. It's, again, when we look at an application, we look at all pieces of the application. So it is an important part. And obviously, if your child has strong scores, submit it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Other questions? You're all done. You're zoomed out. We could keep talking about GAN all night because we love GAN. Can I ask a question of you guys then? I would love to know how many students are having in-person learning this year and how many are remote and how many are hybrid? So in person, can I just maybe see a show of hands? A lot of in person, I like it. Great. How about hybrid? No hybrid. Remote, anybody totally remote? Some remote, yeah. We work, not only do we work with the other Jewish day schools in the area, we work with independent schools in the area and public schools to really understand what's happening in the academic landscape, especially around COVID. Last year, we had obviously a number of students whose education was really disrupted. So one of the things we did was offered a summer program to help, especially some of our public school kiddos who didn't have as much in-person learning or really had some disruption, to make sure that they were ready to come to GAN. So I do believe that we're going to continue summer school again this summer. If we can be in person, we have a farm, which is so cool. And last summer we had mostly online, but we're hoping to have some in-person summer school, which involves some farming. So if anybody's interested in the environment, sustainability, growing, it's a great addition to our program. I will say too, we really, the SSAT or the character snapshot talks about character. Life at GAN is really important. So we not only educate students in the classroom, but we educate students out of the classroom. So we do a lot of community service. We obviously have a lot of Jewish observance and practice, but we frame everything in who will you become and who will you help create a better world and a better environment. So that's really an important part of who we are. We have a very warm and welcoming culture. in a typical year, our lockers don't have locks on them. It's a very open, safe place. We don't have bullying at our school. We really are inclusive of everybody, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of students and families, as Emily said, in a holistic approach. Okay, I think we had another question. What is the mix of kids? It's a great question. Our mix is usually half-half. So we usually have half of our students coming from Jewish day schools and half of our students coming from independent or public schools.
So another question, we're still a couple of years away of joining GAN, but just want to know about your STEM program and what is the difference and what is the uniqueness of GAN in STEM?
It's a great question. And we actually talk about STEM as STEAM, but Gina or Emily, do you want to talk about our new CDF facilities and some of the great stuff that we're doing over there?
Yeah.
Or I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
So one piece that I can just like right out of the gate, I can let you know is last year we we actually completed our first large scale renovation and we created a whole innovation space. So we took a whole wing of the building across from the art studios and we created a prototyping lab and a fabrication lab, both of which are totally accessible and open to students really throughout the day, so they can, not only participate during class time, but also have access if they're really passionate. And that I think is actually one of the distinguishers about GAN. In leading up to that project, there were several sort of task forces that visited other spaces and other schools to sort of find out what people are doing in terms of their innovation spaces. And one of the things they found was that there were these beautiful spaces that were locked and kids couldn't access them, and there had to be grown up, and it was very, very sort of unattainable unless you really sought it out. One of the things we did going into this is just really think about how we can make this accessible not only to students when they're excited, but how can we make it accessible to all students who may not be interested in STEM yet, students who may just be discovering that they're interested in STEM. So, classes are encouraged to come use the studios or the fabrication lab and the prototyping lab for their classes. And really, the goal is to reach as many students as we can and make the space, a place for all departments. That being said, we have an incredibly, there's a lot of breadth and depth to our, we have actually a whole department dedicated to STEM. It's called Computing, Design, and Fabrication. So it's its own department with a department chair, CD and F. And their goal is to really inspire the next generation of engineers and creators. Our robotics program fits into that, as it sits in that department. So those are some pieces. So I'll throw it to Gina. I know she has some fun stories and some exciting things to say about some of those labs and spaces as well.
Oh, sure. Hi, thanks. Sorry, I was going to jump in before, but I was also trying to type in the chat. I still have not figured out how to manage typing in the chat and also talking over Zoom, so I apologize. But yeah, everything Emily said is really great. The Innovation Hub, it's an amazing space in GAN. It's built right in the center of our school. It's accessible to everybody. And one of the things that I really love about it is that it's all open, it's all visible. So whether you're in the prototyping lab or the digital media arts lab or the art studio or the learning common, everything is visible. And that was very intentional. So we wanted teachers to be able to see what was going on in their classrooms and in their labs. And we hope that that's going to inspire faculty and students to come together and work together in different disciplines. So there was a lot of really intentional thinking behind that. And one of the things that you'll notice when you take the virtual tour, either with Emily or myself, is that there's a natural flow to it. So the Learning Common feeds right into the library where you can do all of your research, come together, meet with each other as students, as faculty members, think about what inspires you, what do you want to learn more about? And then that funnels right into all of the different labs where you can be creative and you can build, and it's absolutely amazing. And so I'm really excited for all of you to take the virtual tour just so you can get a glimpse of these beautiful spaces. I think you'll be very impressed, and they're a lot of fun, and it makes me wish, gosh, I could have gone to GAN when I was in high school. I could have like played in the makerspace or, you know, in the art studio. So it's really great.
We also have in our engineering and computing department, our faculty are experts in their field. So 2 of the 3 were working as engineers, and so they're bringing that expertise to GAN. They're also using those fields interdisciplinary, as Gina said. So our robotics team last year, which is always an extremely competitive team and has won multiple years, I believe. Not only did they create their robots to be able to do the challenge, but they made the parts for the robots in the lab. So again, ways to bring STEM into curriculum, bring STEM into clubs.
Yeah. And I would say this, the last thing is, you know, at its core, you know, all, you know, engineering and all those things are really about solving problems. And so we approach all of those, we approach that curriculum in a sense of where do we see a gap? How can we, what problem can we solve? How can we fix things? What can we do to make something better? How can we make people's lives better? You know, sort of that design thinking concept. So really, instead of just learning the technical skills, they're really thinking about it as how it can better the world and how we can, you know, sort of move the world forward by creating something that will have an impact.
So Emily, can I ask a follow-up question for what you just said, which is very important? This is a Jewish, you know, institution. So what is the type of student that you want to have when they go out of GAN? What are you trying to form? I mean, it's so important in terms of the advocacy that our kids need to do towards the community, towards who our identity.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what is it that you form in terms of socially and community-wise, and how do students come out of GAN?
That's a really amazing question. You know, I think I would, you know, first really just think about, you know, that is, I'll first start by saying like, that is what we think about from like, you know, 8th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. So we're thinking about that even at this phase of the process. So really, who will you become? Who are you? What gets you excited? How do we engage that? How do we nurture that passion? How do we help you find new passions? And we really want students to head off into the world and be prepared to know who they are, to find their voice. I would say one big thing is resilience. This day in age, there's so much out there. And if you can really spend 4 years being grounded and rooted in community and have a safe space to learn and take risks, it will really set you up for being able to be successful, you know, wherever you land. One big thing is we want our students to be able to graduate with writing skills and critical thinking skills, and really be able to communicate. We know that the importance of communication, both written and verbal, is really, really important. You know, I also, yeah, go ahead.
No, when you're finished, Gina and I are both going to jump in because, again, this is something that we're excited about.
And, you know, I think another thing that we do really, really well again is help students grow from their experiences and, you know, be comfortable with making mistakes and learning and recognizing that that's really where the magic happens. So learning how to sort of navigate the uncertainty. And, you know, GAN is much more about the process than the outcome, you know, really thinking about how we take these 4 years of a child's educational career and really ignite all of the possibilities that they have coming into high school.
Thank you. Gina's going to talk in a minute a little bit about Dr. Hoffman, who's our head of school. She has created this portrait of a graduate, and she's going to share a little bit about that. But I just wanted to jump in and add that we look at this as an experience, whether you're coming in as a transfer in 10th or 11th grade, or if you're coming in as a 9th grader, it is that long-term experience. And everything we do is interconnected. So we start in the beginning with our advisory program, and we really start to talk about our community, our core Jewish values. How do you act in and out of school? How is that a reflection of yourself and others? How do you interact with others? What is your relationship with the world? in our 9th grade humanities program, we bring our Jewish learning into the curriculum. So they're talking about Antigone right now, but they also have, they've related that back to Jewish texts. Even in other academic courses, we talk about who you are at your core, how your Jewish values create where you're going as a person and as a learner. So it's part of it is community. And then Gina's going to talk about more of the technical skills of being a writer, a critical and analytical thinker. And finally, when we look at outcomes, we do look at when students are graduating from GAN, we do look at, have we met those goals? Are we continuing to meet those goals? Are our college matriculations representative of that? Are our kids going out there and able to succeed in college or their next step? We do have kids that take gap years. We have kids that obviously go to Israel. And so we want to make sure that they're really prepared, because we've heard from other schools that kids get to college and they're frozen. So we want to make sure that they're not only prepared for these 4 years, but really for beyond. And with that, I'm going to toss it over to Gina so she can share a little more about the portrait of a graduate.
Thanks, Wendy. I hesitate to jump into this because I feel like this is really Dahlia's platform, but she's not here, so we're going to speak to it on her behalf. But it was a great question about, what are the outcomes of a GAN education? And so what do we want to see in the portrait of a graduate? And so there's really, I would say, 5 things that we're looking for, that we want to make sure that we meet those 5 goals at the end of the 4 years. So the first is having interdisciplinary 21st century skills. So we talked a little bit about earlier about how we do that just through our curriculum, the Innovation Hub, how teachers and faculty are working together hand in hand with students across subjects. Then we want to look at their social and emotional well-being. That's a really big, important part of what we do again. So making sure that students are happy, that they're thriving, that they feel that this is a community that they belong to. And actually, I'm going to have Wendy or Emily jump in just a moment to talk about sort of like the overall school community, because I think it's really important. The third thing is passion and purpose. So making sure that when they leave GAN, they have a strong sense of that. What are their passions? What are their purpose? What do they want to go out and accomplish and do in the world, whether that be college, a gap year, and beyond. And then the fourth thing that kind of really informs all of that is having a discipline-specific, I would say, content knowledge base. So everything that they're learning in their classes, that, we're preparing lifelong learners. So this is not knowledge-based that we're asking them to take a class, learn what they need to in that class in order to pass it and then move on. It's absorbing everything they're learning and then taking it to the next step in everything that they do. And then really on top of all of that is probably one of the most important missions of GAN, which is having a strong Jewish identity and a value system, and knowing that you're part of a greater and larger community. That's really important. And of course, we do that through our pluralistic lens, but we honor everybody's individual Jewish journey. We know that's personal for everybody, but as long as they leave with some sense of who they are and where they come from and where they belong, that's really important to us. So I would say that those 5 factors are really things that Dahlia is focused on as the head of school again, and so are we as the admissions team, our department chairs. It's what we're all focused on when any GAN student leaves our doors and goes out into the world.
Thank you, Gina. Beautifully said. Was that helpful?
Yes, appreciate it.
Great. Dr. Hochman is amazing. We're going to have her do a panel because she could talk about education, strategies, goals for a long time. And she's a very inspirational leader, but also really a very dynamic speaker. And she's really able to share the vision of GAN and also where GAN is going.
That's very important. That's very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if somebody else has another question, but also around sports, for us is tremendously important, the sports and school. And just wanted to know what do you do and what opportunities you have and you provide, especially because after this comes college and there's a lot of sports involved in your next phase of admissions.
You are right. We will have to send you our athletics video that we showed the other day. But Emily, do you want to talk about our athletics program a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So our athletic program is fabulous and really successful. I'll talk a little bit about the program in general, and then I'll talk a little bit about what the program looks like this year, because we are committed to having an athletic program and athletic opportunities for our students, because we know it's a core part of so many students' high school experience. In a normal non-pandemic year, we have 3 seasons of sports, and all of our students are required to participate in 2 of the 3 seasons. All of the sports happen in the last hour of school. Sometimes there is an after-school practice, but again, our schedule shifted this year. We have upwards of about 18 JV and varsity teams when you look at the 3 seasons and the co-ed identifying boys and identifying girls teams. We have 50, maybe even 51 conference championships. So we've been incredibly successful in our 20 plus years as an institution. We have really been successful in our athletic division. We play against other small independent schools. So, schools like Cambridge School of Weston, Chapel Hill, Boston Trinity, BU Academy, things like that. So nice conference. And we do really well. We think of athletics as an extension of the classroom. So really thinking about what kind of skills you can build that are above and beyond the technical skills you would learn during your academic classes. For many of our students who identify as athletes, and even those who don't, who really just want a time to connect with other students, it really is a highlight of their GAN career. The team, the camaraderie that comes with being on a team is unparalleled and is oftentimes where a lot of the friendships start and stem from. This year, we are, like I said, committed to having an athletic program. So we are running all of our sports that we would normally have. They are really geared towards skill building and team building this year. For example, our volleyball team practices after school, and everybody has their own ball, has their name on it. They collect them. They use, or the kids take them home. Maybe one of the two. I think maybe they take them with them. But they learn how to set and spike and pass, and not pass, but set and spike, and really just train and learn how to be together. And nothing really, other than they're really. Other than the games and the competition, everything, nothing is compromised. So that's just one example of what we're doing now. In addition to that, we've added other ways that kids can satisfy their athletic requirements. So we have a hiking option. We are right in a beautiful area in Waltham where we have a lot of trails. We have, like Wendy said, we have a gorgeous farm, and we actually offer farming as an athletic option. We know that is a huge workout. Our farmer Noah is out there day in and day out, and definitely works up a sweat. And then we have rec sports like yoga. We have rec versions of a lot of our competitive sports. So if you wanted to do rec tennis, we have rec running, frisbee, ultimate frisbee, maybe snowshoeing this winter. That definitely. But really thinking about how we can encourage students to keep their bodies moving. We really think about how we can exercise all parts of ourselves. Again, that whole child approach, and wellness being really, really important. It's a key part of our program.
And we do have students that go on to play competitive sports in college. All of these programs take place after school. So this year we have a wellness block, which has all of our athletics, both teams and rec sports, all of our art, so our singing groups, our ensembles, that all meets in the afternoon. Our arts foundation classes are during the day, so that's part of the academic day. And I saw that Gina answered in the chat the length of our day. Again, COVID has changed everything, so next year's schedule is TBD for sure.
Yeah, I didn't really go into the chat, I didn't explain the reasoning behind the time difference, but it really has to do with being able to do drop off and pick up on a rotating basis. So right now our school is zoned. We have a 9th grade zone, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and they all have different entrance and exits. So that's part of why the schedule is shortened just a little bit. To explain further.
We have a question.
Oh, could I just ask a follow-up on the time?
Sure.
When it's longer, is that including the after-school sports?
Yes, it is.
Okay, just because 5 o'clock is late if you're.
It is late. It is late, yes, but that includes everything. So you might go home and have a little bit of homework, but have time to eat dinner, relax, get ready for the next day.
So we have a question. I mean, academics and everything is very important, but we also wanted to know about community building and spending time. What kinds of events, obviously pre-COVID, were planned to help the kids intermingle between grades and within their grade and meet others? Are there different things that are planned for the students?
It's a great question. We have a number of intentional events that we do. Again, I'm going to just speak about a non-COVID year. So in a non-COVID year, each class has a Shabbaton, which is a grade level overnight where they come to the school and stay and celebrate Shabbat together, have a lot of social emotional growth, fun, learning, development together. They also, as a grade, talk about rules. Obviously, we want to be very inclusive of everybody. There are no electronics, but we talk about how to make it work for students of different observances, to be respectful for everybody. And it's really, those things are an important part of our school experience. We also have a year called Explo Week, and this is part of our learning outside the classroom where our children are either able to take trips or do community service. And that's a way that you're often with multiple kids from different grades and you're able to explore something together, either a deep dive into a social action project or something with the environment or something that's really meaningful to you. Gina? Sorry.
I know, that's okay. I'm so sorry if you guys saw me jump off really quickly. I'm at home. I can't hide it.
You're all good. I was just wondering if you had other things to add about ways that students
Yes.
bond either as class or I mean, clubs is another example.
We have a really strong clubs culture again. Yes, absolutely. So that's one way. Clubs are open to everybody. There's a few of them that you do have to apply for. Mostly those are student publications, but otherwise they are open to all students and they are mixed grade. So that's another way that students across grade can get to know one another. Clubs are usually during lunchtime, but they meet certain days of the week and there's no limit to how many clubs you can participate in. So if you have a lot of interest and you want to really get involved and be a part of the community and join different activities, you are welcome to do so. In fact, we encourage it. And if there are interests that you have that you don't see represented in clubs, students are welcome to start clubs when they want to. They do it with the help of student council. They get a faculty rep to help them, and then they can start any club that is of interest to them. And when I say any club, I mean any club. We actually have a hot sauce club at GAN because there was a group of students who were really interested in hot sauce. So yeah, there's no shortage of ways to get involved and meet other students.
And then I'll just jump in and say that Exploration Week, like Wendy spoke about, is a cherished week of the year that happens every spring. Last year, it happens in May. Last year when we had to pivot to remote learning and we couldn't all be together in person, our incredible experiential ed team pivoted and created a week-long live and learn experience for students to sign up and participate in virtual hikes together and virtual, all kinds of different ways that they were active, that they were able to engage with the world around them and each other. And it was just a really amazing opportunity for the kids, 8 weeks, 6 weeks into the pandemic and remote learning, to just take this week in May and recharge, connect with themselves, connect with their classmates virtually. But it is another example of our commitment to the community building aspect of GAN and just that community feeling.
Thank you, Emily. I saw a question about fees. So there are fees for some Expo Week trips, but not all. There is an additional fee for the My Israel trip. If you are a financial aid family, the the assessment of that is based on your financial aid. So it's all
Scaled to your tuition. So basically it's scaled to your tuition. Yeah.
it's very individual. Yes, we do have a number of affordability programs. They're all unique and different. Like I said, we are going to have a whole panel on that to help you through. We want to make it as easy as possible. We do know that the SSS application can be very time consuming. We have other options for families that might not want that. So I'm happy to reach out to you personally, but we are going to have a panel on that as well. Stay tuned. The other thing, and just in terms of that, is transportation. Our bus routes do change every year depending on need and interest. So we send out a survey, usually in the beginning of August, and we create as many stops as possible with the shortest routes to get students to GAN. So typically we have a Brookline bus, a Newton bus, and a South Shore Sharon type bus.
Just about buses, can I ask? I saw that buses also seem to have a commuter rail pickup. So like if your kid takes, for example, a commuter rail from the Cambridge area, that's also okay as far as that works with the bus? I thought someone had said something like that.
There's usually a Waverly pickup. And we do have families who come in from Cambridge. You know, oftentimes they actually carpool with each other. You know, there is a growing number of families that are coming from the Cambridge Summerhill area.
I'm being mindful of the time, and I know we have some middle schoolers who maybe have homework or other things that they need to be doing before bedtime. So I'm gonna issue a last call for any questions. Ellen, can you put our last slide back up so we can just one more time?
Yes, give me 1 second.
Sorry, I like to keep my team on their toes. But we all want to thank you so much for spending this time with us. I know many of us are feeling very zoomed out, and we wanted to make this meaningful and interactive. We are here, we are very accessible, so please, please don't hesitate to reach out at any time. We want to walk through this process with you. We are your partners. We love GAN, we're very excited about GAN, and we want you to really know more about us, hear about exciting things happening. We will start to be sending out a newsletter called The Glimpse of GAN, which highlights different events, activities, faculty, projects at school. We also we work with our community partners. So we work with rabbis, we work with our own students who are called GANbassadors. We work with our current parents. They're really, I would say, the best and most knowledgeable people because they're able to share. So there are lots of exciting opportunities, but feel free to reach out, and thank you all so much for coming.